Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show live on Thursday, March 6th, 2025. Make sure you come over to YouTube. Find us if you're on the X machine. Hey, good morning to you on X. Appreciate you watching the program. Hey on Spotify. Hey, Facebook, TikTok. Anywhere you watch content, you can find the Monty Show. Monty, the Monty Show. Come on over to YouTube. Hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. A lot to get to on the show today. Want to remind you, on Monday, Memphis Athletic Director Dr. Ed Scott will join the program. Looking forward to having Dr. Scott on. We've talked about him a lot on this show. When it comes to the AAC, the Pac-12, Memphis as a basketball program, Memphis as a Power 4 program. We'll talk to Dr. Ed Scott on Monday about Memphis athletics, but let's get right to work because we have a Monty Show exclusive for you this morning. And I think we've talked a lot about this on the show. When it comes to private money in college football and what that looks like and how important it is. And, you know, we had an exclusive last week on the show about how the Big Ten and the SEC are looking at ways to create their own new football entity that would essentially be a super league. And we're going to talk about this in a bit, where they would bring college football together and have an NFL style, an NFL model super league funded by, in large part, private capital firms. That got us thinking here on the show, well, if the SEC and the Big Ten are working behind the scenes, who else is? So we began doing some digging, and we have been able to confirm through multiple sources that television networks have, in fact, had in-person meetings with private capital firms to talk about television's role in a super league, and mainly would major television networks be willing to alter their current broadcast agreements with conferences, with the college football playoff, etc. ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC, we are told by multiple television industry sources, have met with private capital firms. So what does this mean, and why is this significant? It's significant because it means behind the scenes, there are conversations happening at the highest levels of power in college football to move a college football super league closer to fruition. I am told unequivocally TV networks have an appetite and an interest in the college football super league. I am told without a doubt. And ESPN and ABC, Disney are the main stakeholders here in the college football playoff. I am told without a doubt by industry sources that ABC and ESPN, that the heads at Disney are willing to open their contract. They are willing to negotiate a deal where they remain the primary provider of the biggest games in college football. But yes, they're absolutely willing to open their contracts to facilitate a college football super league inside of the dates that currently span their college football playoff contracts. That's significant because that's one of the biggest questions. Can you have a college football super league during the current TV contracts? And the answer is absolutely you can, because the TV networks are open to it. And the fact that these TV networks and every major television partner of college football has had meetings, we are told, with capital investment firms specifically talking about what a college football super league would look like, what TV's role in it would be, what private equity's role in it would be. I think that is absolutely as close, Jake, as we have ever been to getting confirmation that, yeah, there is a college football league being worked on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And I think this relationship between, the private money firms and the different entities inside of college football is the story. I mean, you look at, again, these different groups, standing in the room, and what do we need? We need television networks to be willing to play ball and to be willing to adjust things and be willing to acquiesce and negotiate and put something together that works for them. We then need the major Power 4 conferences to be willing to do this and to want to do this. And obviously we have that. And then obviously you need private money. And so these three things together, allow you to push this forward. And I think that, a lot of times, like the last several shows, we've talked about how, whether it is whatever network you want to look at, everyone always thinks, oh, well, these networks are, they're all competing and it's this sort of cesspool, and like ESPN and Fox and CBS all hate each other, and
it's a blood feud. People will die.
Yeah, right? Like that's what people think of these TV networks. They think that they're at each other's throats and just trying to kill each other. And it's like, no, dude, like what ultimately with college football specifically, what's best for one is probably best for the other. They need to push it forward. They need to work together to have synergy to push it forward, because what ultimately, and we've talked about this a ton on the show, we need to have more synergy in college football in terms of how it's broadcasted. We need that relationship between college football and the NFL in terms of the college football championship on Saturday, the Super Bowl on Sunday. We right now, as an example, we know, okay, hey, the SEC is going to be on ESPN. That big time SEC game is going to be on ESPN at night. We know that the Big Ten and Fox have their situation, and then Fox has some coverage in the Big 12. And I look at this and I sit here and I say, listen, this can get easier for the consumer. This can get more streamlined. This can get more enjoyable to watch. This can become a better product if everyone in the room just works together to push it forward. And I think that, for me anyway, is kind of the sentiment right now. Like these private money equity firms that we've been talking about understand business. These guys are titans of business and understand what it takes.
Well, I think when you look at the fact that you're playing in a pond where there's billions of dollars in the TV side of this, in the broadcast side of this, there is billions of dollars in the private capital side of this. There's no doubt. You've got to find a way how to leverage that money to make the most money. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't consider is, what do private capital firms do? They take money and they make more money with it. Private capital firms are not in the business of hanging on to the billions of dollars that have been placed in their trust. They need to put that money on the street and make more money with it. And one of the ways that these private capital firms want to do that is by investing in college athletics. It is a big deal. We've seen this across the board in pro sports already. If you look at what we've seen in, whether it be European football, in the Premier League, in the Italian League, Redbird Capital, I think it's AC Milan that Redbird Capital has a large piece of. You look at those situations, you look at the National Football League selling minority shares in their clubs. That's private capital. It makes money. That's why they're giving their millions and billions of dollars in professional sports. College football is not unique in that. College football will make private capital firms more millions and billions of dollars. And the question is, for private capital, and I do think private capital is going to have to be the one to bring everybody to the table, to be a unifier, if you will. How do you get the TV networks, the conferences, and private capital to the table and make a deal that benefits everybody? That's not the easiest thing to do. But what now do we have confirmation of? That private capital has met with universities, conferences, and now TV networks. All the stakeholders are doing one thing similarly. That is talking to private capital firms. And I think what that tells you is that there is a pretty significant appetite to get a Super League done. And I think one of the things that we really need to pay attention to, and I know that people freak out when I say Donald Trump's name. What is Donald Trump likely to do today? And if not today, in the coming days, he's going to sign an executive order to eliminate the Department of Education, which is going to have a significant impact on the way business is done at the college level. change is afoot. There is all kinds of doors opening. I think a college football super league happens because remember, I think we're talking about the college football playoff TV contract is extended through what, 20, 31, and 32 now on this last extension they just signed. So you have this ACC deal where Florida State fan has said that they don't have a grant of rights because it was abolished, which it wasn't. Florida State probably doesn't leave the ACC until 2030. Like, do some math here, man. All of these new grant of rights, all of these new broadcast deals, they go beyond the next 5 years. I am telling you, the single biggest question, are TV networks willing to open up their contracts and facilitate a college football super league? And I was told by multiple sources yesterday they are absolutely willing to do that.
Yeah, and I just don't know why what reason they would have not to want to do it. I mean, you think about what a TV network needs to thrive, and what they need is a reason for people to watch outside of the fact that it's just football, right? I mean, obviously, there is a baseline viewership level for, the different tiers of football that everyone's come to know. But if you said to a TV executive, hey, like, we're trying to put together, a super league, this new league, if you will, this new product, essentially, and in order to do that, we're going to have to open up these contracts here, and we're going to have to make sure you guys are good with it. And, it's going to be the shiny new car in the room as far as the viewer is concerned. So I'm not at all surprised to hear that the TV networks are, maybe saying they're excited about it is too strong, but just that they are open to it. They want to talk about it. They want to work on it. I'm not surprised by that at all. I think the only question is how does what you're trying to do compare to what we have now? And how does that change who benefits at what level? Because that's what it comes down to.
And I think the very fact, to your point, the very fact that TV networks are meeting with private capital firms, what does that tell you? Because I also was told yesterday, without asking, and generally how conversations, to take you behind the curtain, how conversations with sources happen are, hey, I'll send a guy I know a text and say, hey, I'm asking you this question. Can you call me real quick? Or, hey, I need to ask you a question. Can you call me real quick? Because most people won't do anything in writing. Most people you're talking to won't do anything in writing.
Yeah.
When you're talking to conference presidents, athletic directors, all of their text messages and emails are public record. They're TV networks. Anybody that we're talking about, agents, all of their stuff is they don't put it in writing, which I totally understand. So they'll call you, you'll call them, and you'll say, hey, I'm calling you because I've heard X, Y, and Z. And you just start having this conversation. And most of the time, if you just shut up and listen, you're going to get far more out of anything, that conversation, than asking a question. Because all you have to do is kind of say, hey, like yesterday, the question I asked was, hey, I'm curious, what have you heard about ESPN and Fox being open to a college football super league? And multiple people said to me, well, they're meeting with private capital firms. Like it's a known thing. And I said, is that known? Is that widely known? No, because it's only happened in the last few weeks. And then what was the first name that came up? Well, the PIF has met with Disney on multiple fronts. So is it at all surprising that the largest private capital fund in the world, it wants to invest in college football? It's not surprising.
No,
it's not surprising. And I think when you look at the Weatherfords or the Redbirds or whatever private capital firm you want to point to, those guys are not in business to hang on to their money. They don't want to just have it sitting in an escrow account. They need to put that money on the street and make more money on it. The PIF, which, for those who don't know, is the Saudi government's, the Saudi royalties public investment firm. They take their oil money, essentially. They give it to the PIF, and the PIF puts it out into, again, European football. Obviously, Live Golf is a big one for them. Formula One is a big one for them. Like, They put money into sports across the globe. And so now you're in a position where arguably the biggest sport in the world, American football, arguably, has an opportunity for private capital. Nobody's going to say no to that because it's a moneymaker.
Yeah, there's just too much opportunity. And,
yes.
And I think that, I in this inside of this conversation, something that also comes to mind is the behavior the NFL has shown in the past, I would say like 2 to 3 years, trying to turn their league into a global league. We're seeing a lot more games in Germany and London. And, obviously we had the one in Mexico, but that was kind of a disaster. Like, like you look at what the NFL is trying to do, and it's kind of up the same alley in the sense of they're trying to expand their game globally. They want that European market. They want these other markets to be involved. And I feel like for college football, this is kind of a similar thing where you're sure every college football fan, a serious college football fan, is focused on the restructuring. Hey, how does this, what's the league look like? What teams are in it? Who's not in it? But maybe it's more of a conversation about, hey, if we can get investment on a global scale in college football, what does that allow us to do? How does that allow us to improve the game? Get more, whether it's ad partners or whatever, like more innovation in the game. Like I think that's been the thing that's kind of hamstrung college football so far, is that we got, like, as an example, the Florida State Georgia Tech situation this past season, starting to play overseas games, right? We're looking at
Big 12 in Mexico.
Big 12 in Mexico, right? So like we're seeing college and NFL football reach into the global markets and try to form those relationships. So it should be no surprise to anybody that on following that, on the heels of that, we have a lot of conversation and smoke building up to this fire that is private money getting involved to push the sport forward. And I just think the only thing college football can't do is you can't mess this up. You can't do something that would make the product worse than it is now. What it has to be, the absolute must have, is create something that lights a fire under the asses of the college football fan base. Hey, we got this new thing.
Yeah.
Come and watch, come out, show out. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. So I think this is a big story. The private capital firms meeting with television networks is not new. Private capital firms meeting with television networks to talk about a college football super league is absolutely new.
Yeah.
And it is an indicator of how far down the road the conversation has gone. And this Department of Education thing, that's a big flipping deal, man. Because that's going to impact everything from Title IX to the way that universities get money from the federal government, the subsidies, the grant programs. Like, it is a big, big deal. Change is constant in the college world right now. And it's going to be fascinating to watch how this goes. And as far as TV networks go, I think the way that we all watch TV has already changed. I mean,
right.
You look at what DirecTV's offering DirecTV's essentially got one of the best streaming packages in the business with their sports bundle. You've got, whether it's YouTube TV, whether it is Netflix getting into all kinds of live sports bidding. The way we watch sports on television has forever changed.
Well, and I think DirecTV is a great example of it. I mean, look at what DirecTV's business was built on. The golden era of DirecTV was having the NFL Sunday Ticket and having a product or a way to get that onto people's TVs that people could pretty much access anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we move and it was like, hey, let's call DirecTV up real quick. We'll get the guy out here. He'll set up the satellite for us and get that dialed in, and we're good to go. Like that. And now, because of the cell phone and the internet, DirecTV has made this shift now, understanding, hey, consumers watch TV differently now. And they have a great product. They really do. And I feel like it's not talked about enough, but I just think DirecTV is a good example of the change that we're kind of talking about in college football right now.
But I also think here's another question. And I was talking to a guy about this yesterday. What does somebody like Amazon do here? Because if you're Amazon Prime, you already have the NFL. You're probably getting into the NBA business on a much larger scale. You have Major League Baseball. Like, you have a good, robust sports presence. Are you trying to get into the college football world? I have to believe that you are. We've heard that they were heavily in talks with the Pac-12 before that melted down.
Yeah.
But you know, and I know, that the major sports streamer is ESPN. How do you, if you are Amazon and a Super League happens, how do you get your hands on that? If you are Netflix, if you are anybody.
Well, I mean, I think if you look at Amazon, you look at the stance they've taken so far, the strategy they've taken so far, in my opinion, is they're not looking to own the entirety of something. What they want is they want the highest profile piece of the bigger picture.
They want a slice of the pie.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
They want a real big, high profile situation happening, which is why they've got Thursday Night Football and they've got, the other offerings they have. And I think with the college football playoff, this is the question. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. If you create a super league and you have a new playoff structure, if you will, how does that new playoff structure, how sellable is it? How many games can you pack into a college football playoff situation? Honestly, that's what makes the NFL so great is it's just such a clean cut playoff model, a playoff bracket. And it makes it really easy for TV partners to understand, okay, well, hey, this is the marquee playoff game of the week. This would be the number 2. This would be the number 3. And I feel like in college football, we've got so many damn teams and so many matchups that it's really hard to do that and sell it.
It is one of the biggest concerns that people have about college football. How do you streamline it into a money-making opportunity that realizes its full financial potential?
Yeah.
That is something that is talked about on a regular basis at universities, conferences, and in the NCAA offices.
If there was anybody that was going to figure it out, though, it'd be these people.
It would be.
I will say that.
Because it's not accidental that we told you they were going to an NFL model.
Mm-hmm.
We've told you that they're going to have a championship game on a Saturday in college and a Super Bowl on Sunday, or maybe one weekend, because you're not playing the Pro Bowl anymore, essentially.
Right.
One weekend is for college football. The next weekend is for the Super Bowl. Like, they're going to build it around each other so that they don't compete.
Mm-hmm.
It is as simple as that. And I think when you look at these streamers, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult because of the long-term commitment and leverage that ESPN and Disney have on the college football playoff. It is going to be very difficult for Amazon or anybody that's not in business with ESPN. Again, DirecTV, you're obviously getting ESPN on DirecTV.
Yeah.
YouTube TV, you're getting ESPN. But if you're Netflix or you're Amazon Prime or whoever, you're going to have a tough time getting a big slice of the college football pie. I think it's going to be very difficult because you already, like, Peacock's a very interesting example.
Right.
Peacock's already got a stream-only NFL playoff game. That's already happening. And you look at YouTube TV, they've got every channel. DirecTV's got every channel. So the question is, how do these streamers get involved in that? That's, to me, because there's money there. There's no question there's money there. Does ESPN want to open up essentially its exclusive on the college football playoff and give some of that up? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think ESPN's not in the business to share their plate of food.
Yeah, and I would also say to that end, I think a consideration for any of these folks, on the streaming side, like, the Peacocks, ESPN, whoever you want to point to, is consumer fatigue with paying for all the different services. I can tell you right now, I didn't watch the game on Peacock.
Neither did I.
I didn't.
And I have a Peacock subscription.
Yeah. See, like, I don't even have that subscription. See, that's even crazier that you have one and you didn't watch it.
But I get Peacock free through Amex. So,
But my point is you have access and you still didn't watch it.
No,
right?
I didn't.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is, like, when you really dive into this, there's so many layers here to work through to make something happen. But I do feel like it makes too much sense not to do it. And there's too much upside potential not to put it together. And my only other question would be, who is going to be on, is it, as an example, Is it Greg Sankey driving this ship from the university side with, these firms, or what is that inevitably going to look like?
Yeah, because I think that's a big part of this. And, I know that a lot of people hijacked our story last week on the SEC and the Big Ten and the Super League. And, a guy on TikTok yesterday was saying that I stole that from John Wilner. Okay, I don't subscribe to John Wilner.
Yeah.
He's behind a paywall. I'm not paying the great radio wizard of the Northwest to read his bullshit. And I'm not paying Wilner's paywall. If John Wilner wrote that, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that we never, like, one of the stories that's out there is this right here, that the SEC is trying to get teams from the Big 12 to join the SEC, which was credited to us. We never have ever said that. And if you watch this show on a regular basis, you know that. We've never said that. What we reported last week was pretty clear cut. The SEC and the Big Ten are talking about forming a new entity that will oversee college football at the highest level. And as part of that entity, they will fold in Big 12 and ACC teams into this new entity. Because, and I know it's really easy to vilify Greg Sankey, and everybody likes to hate Greg Sankey, and knock yourself out. Greg Sankey knows he cannot shrink the game of college football and thrive. You can survive if you somehow eliminated the Big 12 and the ACC and their membership from whatever championship you formed. But is that really what Greg Sankey wants? No, that's not what he wants. How many times is Greg Sankey going to have to say, it needs to be a coast-to-coast game? Right. It needs to be a national game. And if we eliminate the West Coast, if we eliminate the Southeast, is that really, is eliminating everybody in Florida outside of the Gators, is that really good for college football?
Hell no.
No. So this idea that Greg Sankey and the SEC are going to poach BYU. Like, you know how many BYU fans have reached out to me and said, why would BYU join the SEC? I don't know. Nobody's ever asked them to do that. I have no idea. We never have said on this show that the SEC is poaching anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What we told you, and what, again, I had an at-length conversation about this process yesterday. The SEC and the Big Ten are not going to sit here and hope that the Big 12 and the ACC come along for a ride.
Right.
They're going to make it impossible for the Big 12 and the ACC to say no. That's what they're going to do. And they're not going to poach BYU or Texas Tech or whoever. Anybody telling you that simply has no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
They are up in the night. They, in no way, shape, or form know a couple of things. Greg Sankey is not trying to shrink college football. Greg Sankey is not trying to destroy the Big 12. Greg Sankey, I think, really isn't paying attention to the Big 12. He isn't paying attention to the ACC because that's not his problem. That's not his business. And when the four commissioners get on their semi-regular call, because the four commissioners talk on a regular basis, do you really think that they're sitting there talking about how, hey, man, look, Brett, I really want BYU to join the SEC? No, they're not. That's never happened.
Yeah.
They're talking about how can we grow the sport financially? How can we create a situation where it is clean, it is thorough. We are every fan. I can tell you, multiple sources have told me, one of the conversations they have is, how do we protect against college football fans' apathy? Which means, well, that's just the SEC trying to steal everything. That's apathetic. Like, you're just,
Yeah.
That's just what it is. That's terrible for college football and the business of college football. They talk on a regular basis how to bring more people to the game and keep the people who are in the game in the game. So they're not trying to shrink college football. It's bad for business.
Which is why you need to play the big time non-con games, and you need to keep the rivalries alive. And, the Nebraska-Tennessee thing is such a problem, and why, the endless, just, miles long conversation about how the CFP works and the seeding and the ranking and just that whole thing is something that you hear about almost on a daily basis. About, hey, like, how do we make sure this is working right, and like, is best for fans, and like, because again, the like, you need people to watch this for this to work. You have to have big TV audiences, and I guess it's almost fitting we're talking about this today on the heels of the settlement in the ACC with how that's structured, being that it's a 5-year average of 5-year rolling average on your TV ratings and everything. College football can't afford to take a step back in terms of viewership. What they do, like I said, has to grow the game. It has to raise the stature of college football. And in my opinion, the best way to do that is to simplify how matchmaking is done. It's like, make people understand, make the dad of 4 who has, the 9-to-5 soul-sucking job during the week, but, his reprieve is watching college football on the weekends. Make it so that he doesn't have to go and do some bracketology to understand who's going to be playing where on Saturday and what the ramifications of that playoff game are going to be. Like, in the NFL, if you watch the NFL, you can say, okay, cool, I know I'm watching a game and this is what's on the line for next week. Like, this is who you're going to play if you win this game. Like, that. It's just known. In college football, it doesn't work that way because of the process that's in place, which is, hey, like, you win this game. Now we got to talk about seeding and ranking and just all of this process with people. So my whole point is that to make this better, you have to simplify, and you got to make it easier for people to understand, and you got to make it easier, or as easy as possible, because I do feel like it's pretty easy now, but just make it as easy as possible for people to continue to watch the game. And if you do that, you're going to see your TV viewership's going to go up. Your TV viewership's going to be really good. You're going to make money, and the sport's going to grow, and you're not going to have as many problems.
Yeah, I think it is. Growth in college football is incredibly important. The NCAA tournament, I think, is going to expand, but I think concerns about the NCAA tournament and the game of college basketball are on the back burner. I think that those fears or concerns, fears is way too strong, but the desire to drive more revenue through college basketball is significantly less of a concern than figuring out the long-term stability of the college football postseason. And listen, I think these private capital firms meeting with television networks, I think it is use the adjectives, bombshell, shocker. It is everything that should be happening. And most people will tell you this is bad. I'm telling you, it is the only way forward.
Yeah, and I think it's a clear sign that it's full steam ahead on this. Like,
it is the only path forward.
Yeah,
it is, because you don't have, not to be obvious or redundant, you don't have people with this much power meeting to do nothing. And think about how much power comes with billions in this country. And when you look at these capital firms, these private capital firms, they have billions of dollars at their fingertips. You look at the television networks, who are all partners. And again, I know, as Jake said earlier, that's controversial to some people. It's not. The TV partners, and when I say TV partners, Fox, CBS, NBC, and ESPN, Disney, are all partners in college football and college sports across the board. They all do business with the same people. That's where the center of power is. And guys like Greg Sankey can't tie their shoes without their TV partners. It is as simple as that. So when you now put powerful men like Greg Sankey, powerful people like TV executives, and maybe the most powerful people, private capital firms, at the same table, they're not there to just exchange pleasantries. They're there to do business. They're there to make their billions, make more billions. That's the only reason people like this get together. I don't see how this doesn't happen. Is it next season? It is not. I think you're looking at probably 3 to 5 seasons from now. You're looking, I think, at the 2030 season is when this makes the most sense. And because I think there's just so much you have to do, and there's so much that has to be done to facilitate this. And I think that doesn't happen in 2 years. I think it takes far more time than that to get this done. And when we're talking about this volume of money and capital investment, I think it's going to take time. I think I could see it in 3 years, but I think the more likely timeline is 5 years. And I think everybody moves on with their lives at that point. And again, that's why with this ACC settlement, why isn't Florida State filing their letter of exit from the ACC this morning? Because they're not trying to leave the ACC. There is no reason for any of the Power Four to upset the apple cart. There is now stability amongst all of the power conferences.
Yeah.
There's stability in the ACC and the Big 12 now. Now it's time to start putting one foot in front of the other and making more money.
Yes.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what the next 3 years is about. And those who make money will thrive, and those who don't make enough money will die. And I still maintain the biggest question is, how do we settle this NIL House lawsuit? What does the abolishment of the Department of Education mean for college athletics? And at what level and on what timeline does private capital get involved in college football? Those are now the biggest questions. So let's get into it. Let's get into the comment section. As always, the Monty Show is presented by our friends at The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com. We will be at The Advocates office in Murray on Monday. That is March 10th. That is this coming Monday. We will be there at 12:30. We will be donating blood. Make sure you get to utahblood.org. Sign up. We will give one lucky viewer a $100 Amazon gift card. And listen, if you go donate blood and you don't live in the state of Utah, we'll also give away a $25 Amazon gift card. Show us that you take a picture of yourself donating blood between now and Monday. We'll give away one $25 Amazon gift card. And happy to do it. Happy to do it. And I think that blood is such a big deal that every 3 seconds somebody in this country needs a blood transfusion. Let that sink in. Every 3 seconds, somebody in the United States needs a blood transfusion. Do your part. I know it seems like a lot. I know some of you are probably scared of blood and needles, but let's do our part. If you are healthy and you are able and you are eligible, please consider donating blood. And if you are in the great state of Utah, if you are on the Wasatch Front, meet us Monday, 12:30. We will be at the Advocates in Murray. And Jake will pass out while donating blood. I will not.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
I will not. We should probably eat lunch before we go there. I will not. So make sure you join us. The Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, where you get clear, risk-free advice. 24/7, 365. You can chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Utah Blood. utahblood.org. Let's see. Ooh, look at the comment section today. Are we really? Who was the? Let's go all the way back to the top. Daniel Dixon was first in this morning. Our great friend in Iowa. Good to see you. Yes, you were. Steely, good to see you, Mr. The Ohio State. Who's the best team in the Big Ten next year? There's a lot of people riding the Nebraska train. Do you think Matt Rule and Nebraska are ready to be the best team in the Big Ten? I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I know that Jake is going to probably pass out, not from giving blood, but that I'm really curious how good USC is going to be next year. Oh, God, here we go.
You're a homer is the first part.
Here we go.
Yeah, well, Lincoln's the best coach in college football, Monty.
Ever.
You know.
Ever. Ryan Smith's receding hairline. Super League update. I've secured more Utah taxpayer money to get BYU into the Super League.
We show up.
Why is BYU fan so inherently insecure that they're like, we're getting left out of the Super League? On what planet does that make sense? Well, Monty. No, well, Monty.
No, well, Monty's.
Well, Monty, the goddamn Mormons and their caffeinated beverages.
The Soren Mormon from the other night, he said that we weren't getting into the Super League. So what are we doing?
BYU's not getting left out of anything. That's one of the best athletic departments in the country right now. Come on. Maury Alvarez, our great Floridian. Hello. Yes, please hit the like button. It really helps our channel grow. And trust me when I say we need it. We're trying to get to 150,000 subscribers before summer. So are we putting a date on trying to get to 150,000 subscribers, Jake?
Well, I think we're at, what are we at, 141 right now?
I have not an idea. I've not looked today.
Think-
We are at 141,392.
Yeah, I definitely think by probably the end of April. Maybe.
You think the end of April?
Yeah.
It's March 6th. We're not getting to 150 by the end of April.
We had about 6,000 subs a month right now, or so. 6,000 subs a month right now. So if you guys show out,
okay,
you subscribe to the channel.
That's why you got to hit the like button.
Yeah, you got to hit the like button. You got to subscribe. You want to get to 150? You want us to do something?
Where are we at? We're at about 1,000 views right now, and we have only 37 likes. Hit the like button.
Yeah, hit the like button, guys. Come on.
Click on that. You see that little Monty Show logo? It's probably right here on your screen, right here. Click on that. It'll let you subscribe to the channel. Old Tatanka, hello. Welcome to the nightmare. Hello. Eric Wasakowski, Joey Bosa.
We're going to get to that. We got NFL to talk about today, dude. People out here wilding.
Good luck blocking the 49ers next year. Min Kim will help me get Joey Bosa to BYU. Forget my pro sports teams.
Oh, dude. I'm proud of you, bro. That's good material right there for a troll account.
Fabio, why you crying all the time? What is Fabio crying about today? Sure, I'll get banned for breathing today. Well, I don't know what you said yesterday. You said, listen, if YouTube is limiting your comments, it's because you're being an idiot. Now, again, listen. I would just tell you to chillax.
You are what you are.
I put my life savings on a 10-win Utah season.
Well,
why do you obsess over? Are you a Utah fan? Like, I don't understand your obsession with Utah. Like, does it ever amaze anybody in the comments section that we have guys that come in here and they obsess over a certain team?
Stay hard.
Well, and I get that, hey, but I think you obsess over Utah and you're not a Utah fan. And I've never understood that that's why you don't get your comments read most of the time. Terrible choice. Should have taken the over on if Utah would give me $1 billion or not. There you go.
Right.
True. Mike Smith. No. I'm going to need you hooligans to hold it down. I'm trying to listen to what Monty is saying because it's an exclusive. Exactly right.
That's right.
Monty has a partial man bun. I got to tell you what, do I have a partial? I had one of those mornings, like when you get up, my alarm goes off at 4:10 in the morning.
Dude.
I usually get out of bed. I got in the shower today. I took off my Apple Watch. I took off my Apple Watch at 4:17 this morning.
Yeah.
Put it on the sink. I got out of the shower thinking I had been in there 10 minutes. I got out of the shower at 4:54.
Dude teleported to 4:54.
Do you ever have those weeks, days, hours where the time just flies by?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it is, you get to and it's already Thursday.
Yeah.
You get up early, you grind for 16 hours a day. And it's like, dude, it's Thursday. I have no idea where the time goes. None whatsoever. Bailey Dietrich. Noah's today for cheat again.
What does that mean? Oh,
Okay.
notice of allegations.
Yeah, we'll see. YouTube TV. Yeah, YouTube TV is great. Capital firms, a.k.a. taxpayers. Very well could be. John Famlor.
Wow.
Look at you.
John.
Good to see you, fam. Yes, that's my big question. RX, just you comment so. Yeah, you need to be a member if I'm going to read your comments. Amazon, Netflix, YouTube what will be their role? I don't know that they'll have a big role in college.
Yeah, I think it's a big question, dude.
Amazon and Netflix specifically, YouTube TV has college already because they broadcast channels.
Yeah.
They're essentially a cable company model. So people like YouTube TV, DirecTV Stream, they're not going to have a problem with it at all. You're invited, but your friends can't come. Okay. You know. Daniel Dixon, players will also want more money, and how is Title IX affected? I think Title IX is going away. I think we've already seen the destruction of DEI in this country.
Yeah.
I think Title IX is going away. Rick Forster, good morning, Rick. So only the 4 power conferences will be in the Super League. I don't think, and this has been a hotly contested question. If you're a G5, I don't think you can afford the cost to compete at the highest levels of college football.
Yeah.
You're struggling currently to rev share at $20 million, excuse me. And again, go back to when Gloria Navarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, was on the show. What did she say? Not all my members are going to opt into that. Because how many of them can afford it? Not many. Not many G5 programs. And again, I remind you, Dr. Ed Scott, the athletic director at Memphis, is scheduled to join the show Monday morning. We'll ask him about that. We will ask him about his friends in the AAC. How many of those folks are in for $20.5 million? How many are opting into revenue sharing? That's a huge question. It's a huge question. Where are the main areas that these private capital firms are getting their ROI? Oh, I don't think there's any doubt it is on the ledger of these college football teams. And essentially, you're going to have a new entity formed, which will create the Super League, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be called the Super League. You're going to have a new entity.
Yeah.
If what we're hearing is correct, you're going to have teams that in football only leave the NCAA and join a new entity. That entity will be a for-profit a business that private capital will have a stake in.
Right.
And that's where they're going to get their money. And that'll be branding money. That'll be TV contracts. That'll be all of it. Merchandising, licensing, all of it. And think about video games. Think about baseball caps. Like the business model will change significantly, but at the end of the day, the revenue streams do not. The revenue streams do not.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that far off. And donuts. Saudis will pull back to finance the $1 trillion line project.
I think that got put on hold, though.
What is it?
So basically, there was a concept where the Saudis were going to build like this. I think they characterized it as like a mega city, where like it was like essentially visually it looked like a wall, but it was like I think it was like a 25-mile project, and it would be like a city inside of a wall. And it was supposed to be like luxurious, and like it was almost like the renderings that came out at one point, like it was like almost a mirror like thing where it was like very reflective and things like that. And then it got put on hold because I think the cost of doing it was so much that even the Saudis couldn't afford it. Like
it's called Neom.
Yeah, like it literally was so much money that
the line meet the placemakers.
Yeah, and so it's like a 10. I think they were saying, I could be wrong, it was like a 10-story high, like literally a wall that people would live in.
$7 trillion.
Yeah. that it was going to take to build this
$7 trillion.
Yeah.
NEOM will showcase at MIPIM 2024. It's not on hold. I'll screenshot this for you guys.
Yeah.
I am unaware of this.
Yeah.
I am unaware of this, and Donuts. Look at you. I have not heard much about this. This is what they say NEOM is about. The line will tackle the challenges facing humanity and urban life today and will shine a light on alternative ways to live. We cannot ignore the livability and environmental crisis facing our world cities. Uh-oh. Wait, are you saying that global... Anyway. NEOM is at the forefront of delivering new and imaginative solutions to address these issues. That's fascinating. I have not seen this. This building.
Yeah, that one in the top left right there is the one that I had seen. That picture there was the one that I had originally seen. It's reflective. It looks like a wall. Like,
that's fascinating. I don't know. Oh, wow. So you just never leave, quote unquote, the line?
So I think the concept is, and again, talking off the top of my head a little bit here, because I haven't heard much about it recently, like you were just saying. But I think the concept is, hey, we're going to build something where it's all self-sustaining. So
where
basically,
outside forces don't impact us.
Yeah. And so basically we're inside of this thing, and you don't need a car. Like, you don't need, like, in terms of travel, you don't need a car or anything like that. Like, my only question was, okay, if people are living in this thing, what if you travel a lot? Like, are you, because the renderings make it look like it's out in the middle of a desert.
It is out in the middle of nowhere. It is not in an urban site. This is fast. See what, and Donuts, you come here and you wreck the show.
Yeah.
You wreck the show. I'm trying to get you guys a rendering of this building so you can see it. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
That's what the line. A $10 trillion project.
Yeah.
That is self-sustaining and environmentally bulletproof.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I mean, but it's stuff like when we talk about innovation, guys, we're talking about college football innovation. Like, if we got people doing this, there's no reason why college football can't,
Noel Ramirez, they're also supposedly building a winter ski resort in the middle of the desert. Okay. I personally have no interest whatsoever in living in the Middle East.
No.
It's hot. Isn't it called The Line or something? It is.
Yeah.
Line project will be a dud. Okay. It's not on hold, but they have dialed it back a little. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Day Old Donuts. Day Old Donuts. Good to see you, friend. Good morning, Tim and Jake.
Well.
So
okay, very official names here.
We're gonna be. What
happened
formal.
What happened to Monty and Two Shakes?
We're gonna be a better.
Yeah, better zip it up, dude. Yeah.
Just make sure
get the hair right, zip it up, we're good.
Yeah. Anyway, the point about the hair was we did what we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Live sports streaming is going to replace linear model. Already has. DirecTV just released a massive live sports package designed to usher in the concept with streaming options. You guys know I used to endorse DirecTV for a decade.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the way they package their sports. I'm a big believer that that package essentially gives you every single sport, period. Isn't it called My Sport? And it is, in my opinion, the future of streaming. Yeah, it's called My Sports. DirecTV, My Sports. MLB, NFL, FS1, NHL, TNT, ESPN, ESPN Plus, Big Network, NBA, and TBS. And you get all of those sports. It's the first plan to exclusively offer the most popular sports channels, including 25 plus sports and broadcast networks. $69 a month, and you can try it for free. Includes an ESPN Plus subscription.
Huge.
I mean, it's revolutionary. It is. That's what the future of streaming in this country needs to be, where we have people thinking outside the box. Now, obviously, ESPN's going to go direct to consumer. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this transitions in the next 5 years, because if that happens this fall,
Yeah.
but it'll be interesting. It will be very interesting to see how that plays out. RX says live. Well, I hope you do. I hope you do. Chewy Gonzalez. Hello, Chewy. I'm surprised Saudis haven't created college super leagues like Live Golf. But they don't control.
Yeah.
They don't have a talent pipeline.
Because again, college athletics are not,
And the Live Golf thing is a little tepid. Like, and a friend of mine is saying, you guys talked about the line. It was their utopic. Oh, that's right. That was their perfect society. Okay, now I remember that. Yes, we talked about the line. I'm an idiot. Yes, that was their model for utopia.
right.
Their perfect society. That's right. I remember that. Live Golf is not perfect. I mean, this thing with Fred Couples and Brooks Koepka this week, did you guys hear that? That Brooks Koepka would like to come back to the PGA Tour and has not signed his extension. Obviously, with Donald Trump in office, it is amazing to me he's focused on what's going on in the golf world. But he is trying to facilitate a PGA Tour, the PGA Live Golf merger, which has to happen. It's going to happen. And I think what's very clear is the guys who are on Live want to come back to the PGA Tour. I mean, Bryson has essentially said that without saying that.
Mm-hmm.
He was asked in Hong Kong, which is where Live is this week, in Hong Kong, his thoughts about it. And he said, I really like my existence on the Live Tour. I've enjoyed Live Golf. Not at no time did he say, oh no, I'm staying on Live. I'm committed to Live. He very much said, because Bryson's also a Texan. He likes North America. I don't think Bryson loves the idea that he's got to travel around the world and does not get to play in all the majors. I follow Bryson on YouTube. In his latest YouTube video, he openly talked about how excited he was to play in the Masters. How many Live guys are not playing in the Masters?
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Open, the players.
Well, and I think that
look at the Arnold Palmer Invitational this week.
Listen, I have a lot of disdain for the guys that joined Live. I did not respect that decision at all. Disagreed with it. I think that
is disdain a little too much.
Maybe
you have some hate for those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
I do not.
I think that I think it's easy to just forget what they did at that time. Meaning, it wasn't just that you went to another tour. That's not the issue. The issue is that you took all that money to go to a tour that's irrelevant and literally means nothing. And now, after you've been paid, you want to come back. So like, I think that the problem is it's it's disrespectful to the guys who didn't leave. And I understand a merger's got to happen. I agree that tournaments are better when Bryson DeChambeau is playing in them. I completely agree with that.
Well, Brooks is one of my favorite golfers, and I never see him play golf anymore.
Yeah, like Brooks is another guy that it's great. The fall off of Dustin Johnson's incredible. Ultimately, though, my main thing here is that, again, maybe it's just this week for me. I'm not just going to forget what those guys did.
No, I don't think listen, I've said repeatedly, I think it's blood money. But when the president of the United States is openly asking for that blood money to invest in sport and culture and business, it's being normalized as we speak. Does that make it right? No, it does not. In my opinion, it does not.
Yeah.
But do I have hate for Bryson DeChambeau? Or look at Bubba Watson? Look at, Dustin. You're exactly right. They're invisible.
Yeah.
They paid a heavy price for that and made a lot of money doing it. But my point is, when I look at where we are with private capital in sports, it's going to happen. It has to happen. It has to happen. There's no question. Newest Live Championship game called the Decapitated Reporter Championship. There's always going to be the Khashoggi.
So I said, yeah.
And I hope we never forget about Jamal Khashoggi. I hope his name lives on forever. I truly do. Look up Troena, the winter ski resort they're trying to build in Saudi Arabia. Dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
I'm not. Noel, look at what you wrote. How crazy is that premise of, man, dude, Jake, I got to tell you, I want to go snowboarding. Why don't we go to Saudi Arabia?
Gosh, man,
no.
The dunes look good this time of year, bro.
No, I'm fine, fam. I'm good. Like that concept is so mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
But again, when you have money, you can do anything you want.
Yep.
You can do anything you want. And I think Live Golf is a great example of this. They have hemorrhaged. They have lost so much money on Live Golf. It is, and everybody keeps saying, oh, well, PGA model's not sustainable, Monty. Well, I'm telling you, Monty's here to tell you, Live Golf is the one that's not sustainable. Note that they have not signed extensions with any of their big-name players because they've lost so much money. They're trying to get this merger done so they don't have to.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. That is the big thing.
Yeah, it just bothers me, dude. I look at golf and I'm just sitting here like, dude, it never needed to be this way.
It didn't.
And it never needed to be a thing where, a whole other league was created, what for the sole purpose of getting a merger done or getting Saudi investment into the tour. Because if they, and we should stop saying if, it's going to happen when they merge. It is going to happen. When they merge. Ultimately, we're going to look back and say, yeah, was Live only created so that the Saudis could get involved in the tour? I mean, is that what the strategy was? Because you talk about all the money they've, hemorrhaged and lost, but to them, that's not a lot of money. So for them, that may have been the play.
And it's a very unique. Live Golf was a very unique opportunity. You couldn't do that in Major League Baseball, college sports. Like, there's just no way to do that. It's quite literally impossible.
But I also think that the tour bears responsibility because they weren't willing to pay guys what they should have been paid.
They were asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, like they were not pushing forward on that.
I think Live was necessary for the PGA to reevaluate their models and tournaments.
Yeah.
It ended up helping the PGA. I think it did.
I'm down with that. I mean,
I think it did.
I agree that dudes weren't getting paid the money they should have. I mean, I look no further than Tiger Woods. I mean, how much money? Like, Tiger's made ridiculous money, but that's not the point. The point is how much more money could he and probably should he have made?
Yeah.
Through his career, based on how the tour was behaving. Like,
Yeah. All right, let's reset it all because we've gotten, obviously, this has turned into a bigger conversation and spun up into something. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. And I have to tell you, finally, Chaboy won 3 for 3 last night.
Wow,
I have been on a run. And I appreciate you guys are happy for me. You are happy. I have been on a roll of 2 for 3. The other night, I essentially peed in my cornflakes because I went Mikal Bridges under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He threw up a Hail Mary. It went in, and then they took him out of the game. He finished with 23. Thankfully, Giannis Antied Your Mama finished under 51.5, and LeBron James dominated the other night.
Yeah.
Last night, I went 3 for 3, and I'm just going to tell you, this is the level of degeneracy that I have stooped in, perhaps stooped is the wrong word, but fallen to when I am playing spring training baseball on Prize Picks. And I would like to thank the offensive explosion that never happened for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chris Taylor was my huckleberry yesterday. Chris Taylor, half a hit yesterday. I took less. He didn't get a hit yesterday. And then when you dominate in the NBA, such as in like myself,
Right.
and you start looking at the Utah Jazz, and you're telling yourself, dude, I am telling you now, with them, the lineup the Jazz are currently playing, you have to go with anybody that's on the other team. And thankfully, I went with Keyshawn George last night.
Keyshawn.
21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had 23 points, 7 boards, 2 dimes. Your boy won 3 of 3 last night. And I did that mainly because, and I think it was the game of the night in the NBA, the Cavs and the Heat.
Stay hard.
My guy, Donovan Mitchell. If you are not on the Donovan Mitchell for NBA MVP train, you probably are voting for LeBron. Donovan had a 34.5 point number last night.
Yeah.
26 points, 7 boards, 5 dimes.
Stud.
Pimp's going pimp. It's what we do. You download the Prize Picks app. Open up a new Prize Picks account. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly.
Yeah.
Singularly the best daily fantasy promo I've ever seen. It doesn't require you to win. It doesn't require you to lose. You just deposit $5 and they'll give you 50 more instantly. And the best part is, friends, the NBA is not hard. You make 3 selections. You flex play that. You win 2 or 3 on a flex play. You get paid. It's that simple. Go to Prize Picks. The NCAA tournament coming up. Cooper flag is a must on Prize Picks.
Got to get in the pooper for Cooper, you know?
Yeah. I don't know about all that. Wait, this is a family show. So I'm just telling you, Prize Picks is where it's at. Hook it up. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty.
What are we doing?
We're doing
what are we doing?
Ferris, why?
What are we doing?
Ferris, you've got to stop with the Michigan bullshit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares how many days it's been. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Chewy Gonzalez. I'm a Laker fan and I'm sick of Lesbron. He needs to go.
Why, dude?
You're not a Laker fan if you think LeBron James needs to go.
Yeah, what are you talking about, dude?
Because I don't know what it is that you're looking at.
LeBron and Luka are must-see TV right now, dude. Honestly.
Do you understand that LeBron James right now is having one of the best years of his entire career? You understand that, right? Not in the last couple of years, or he's 40 years old and he's having one of the best years of his entire career. He's played 56 games. He's averaging 35 minutes a night, 25 points, 8 boards, 8.5 dimes. And he's shooting 52% from the floor.
He's got better numbers now than he did when he was with the Heat, bro.
When you look at his best seasons,
come on.
He is doing, I don't even know how you would complain about anything LeBron James right now.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. That's wild to me. You will have to check out Sindala Island. Probably not. Probably not. Cade Cunningham is the next star. He's not. The problem, and this is what's going on in the NBA right now. Cade's a great player. I love all the commercials he doesn't do.
Oh man.
Do you see him? He's invisible.
Yeah.
He has no personality. At least not that's being showcased. He's on a terrible team that's been terrible his entire career. And I think the biggest challenge facing the NBA is how do you keep LeBron James and Steph Curry playing basketball?
Yeah.
Because once they're gone, who's the bright star in the NBA?
I also think how do you get Kevin Durant back in the playoffs? Like, those 3 guys are the league.
I don't know how you do that. I have no idea how you do that. And how do you keep him performing at 40 years old, having the best season of his career? No idea.
The want to thing with Braun at this point in his career. How long does the want to stay there? How long does, what is the why at this point? Obviously he's done everything you could want to do in basketball. He's got championships. It speaks for itself.
And I just look at the numbers in the NBA. And if you just look at the top scorers in the NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have no idea about him. You couldn't even pick him out of a lineup. He walked in here right now, you wouldn't know who he is. Giannis, same thing. Giannis, you would know who he is, but he's not a dynamic personality. Victor Wembanyama, not a dynamic personality. Nikola Jokic, you have no idea. There's not dynamic personalities. Anthony Edwards has turned into a villain now.
Mm-hmm.
All those technical fouls, getting suspended, like Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum could very well win back-to-back NBA championships. Jaylen Brown, zeros. They don't register with fans outside of their cities.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, Cade Cunningham. 11th in scoring in the NBA. Nobody has any idea. Nobody has any idea. He is a wonderful basketball player, but unless you're an NBA nut like me, you have no idea. Like, do you guys even understand that the Detroit Pistons are 6th in the East right now? That's a playoff team right now. Yeah. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows. You could not tell me right now, the garden variety sports fan cannot tell me right now, who are the 3 best players on the Detroit Pistons? Anybody? Who are the 3 best players on the Lakers? LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves. Who are the problem is most stars in the NBA are invisible. And that includes Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
No one wants to be the face of the NBA. Oh, I think people would love to be the face of the NBA. They're not capable. Like, I'm telling you, Cooper Flagg, everybody keeps trying to tell me, well, Cooper's not leaving the pooper this year. He's going to the NBA. And why? Because he will be the face of the NBA the first moment he is drafted.
Yeah. He's got enough personality to do it.
Look at Victor Wembanyama. Does anybody have any idea what Victor Wembanyama is as a person? What's he about? You have no idea.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is because he's a Euro player. He's French, obviously. And I think that
doesn't speak great English.
Speak great English.
Shohei Ohtani, another, and I know this gets into, when you look at Shohei Ohtani, he does not speak English. He uses a translator, and you have no idea what he's about.
Yeah, and I think that nobody would probably know him unless he was with the Dodgers.
Mike Trout doesn't speak English, uses a translator. Oh, wait. Does Mike Trout speak English?
He does.
Are you sure?
Mike Trout a Nike athlete? He is.
No idea.
Does anybody know that Mike Trout has committed to moving to right field this season in an effort to stay healthier?
Scotty Scheffler or Mike Trout?
Scotty Scheffler.
So the best golfer in the world is a bigger name than who's the best American baseball player? It's got to be Mike Trout. Not the face of...
I think Bryce Harper's a bigger face of the league than Mike Trout is.
And nobody knows a thing about Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
If you follow him on TikTok, you do. You know he likes to cook all of a sudden. But I just think that sports is facing a millennial problem. Millennials are not out. Millennials are not communicators. Millennials are not. And I think our country is going through that. Our global economy is going through that.
Yeah.
Millennials, you're it. You're up, dude. And no, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And it is very difficult. Noel Ramirez, most players want the max deal. They don't seem to care about being the face of the NBA. They don't. It's Chipper Jones, exactly.
Right.
And I think Chipper had the best year of his career last year. Wasn't he an all-star? And didn't he win the MVP last year, Chipper?
Yeah, I think so. What about Tom Glavine? Did he win the Cy Young last year?
Chipper Jones. Well, I'll tell you, Glavine and Maddox that's probably the best rotation in baseball right now. I know that
Monty, they don't play anymore. Don't you know that? Yes. Yes.
Crazy as it may sound, some players are huge in sports card market, no matter their. Oh, well, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. VW is one. Caitlin Clark cards are worth more than some future Hall of Fame basketball players and so on. Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. Great point. Eric in Raleigh. Millennials can't afford to keep the economy going.
Well,
that's a whole different show.
Don't
right?
get us started.
The complexities of the millennials, like, look how much family dysfunction there is. Look how much relational dysfunction there is. Marriage, dating. How many times are we going to hear, oh, I'm so sick of these dating apps? Okay, go out and meet somebody. What? No. A bar? And don't you talk to me at the gym. Right? Like, that's who we are.
I'm videotaping myself for TikTok.
In a sports bra, and it's cold in here.
Yeah.
But don't you stare at me. That's who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eric, it's a different show. Different show. Doug Salisbury Steak.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Dougie.
Dougie Steak Boy.
Let's go.
Sorry. Probably too far.
I think Wemby speaks phenomenal English, and he's done a great job integrating himself with fans. Played chess in New York City with fans, is frequently seen interacting with fans in San Antonio. San Antonio doesn't matter.
Yeah, here's the deal, dude. I don't even disagree that he's done those things.
He has.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. Nobody knows Victor is the dude. What they know is he's super tall. He looks like a freak on the basketball court, and he's sometimes fun to watch. That's
and he
what they
doesn't.
know for.
He doesn't. He has a huge accent.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. Nobody's blaming Victor. Yeah. That's just the reality of the situation.
I mean, at least with Ohtani, like people showed up for the MLB playoffs, and Ohtani was a thing in the playoffs with the injury, and like it was a narrative with the Dodgers during the run, and like, you know, like, so with Ohtani, at least I can say, okay.
But wait. What home run do you remember from the Dodgers last year?
Well, yeah, not Ohtani's, I can tell you that.
Freddie fucking Freeman.
Yeah.
And his kid and his dad.
And by the way, did anybody see Freddie Freeman go deep? I think it was in his first at bat. Like,
I'm telling you.
Come on.
I'm telling you.
Come on.
It's not that Victor's a bad guy or a crappy. He's not. It's just the reality of the situation. And in America, one of the biggest markets on the planet, we're not going to gravitate to a guy who uses a translator.
Yeah.
We're not going to gravitate to a guy.
And burn through another translator in a gambling scandal that he allegedly wasn't part of.
U.S. Americans.
Why? Anyway, fuck. Why go there?
Because it's part of Ohtani's story.
Why
talk about this dude being nationally relevant? Bro is relevant because of that, not because he can hit a baseball a mile and he's doing it with one arm tied behind his back. Like, that's what we do as sports fans. We talk about that stuff instead of, hey, what's his shooting percentage? Like,
shut up, Jake. Anyway, the point is, you just couldn't help yourself.
This is fucking America.
He paid for the win.
Yeah.
My point is, why do we like Steph Curry? Is Steph some huge personality? No. But he does and he turns around and the ball goes in the hole.
Well,
why do
the
we
Olympic thing?
Why do we like Tiger?
Yeah.
Because he wins. Why do we like Steph? Because he wins.
Yeah.
But what do we also know about Tiger? He had sex with a bunch of hookers and prostitutes and got punched in the face by his wife with a golf club. Ooh. We know their personal life. Why do we know Steph Curry? Well, it's the Curry brothers and Chef Curry, and he shoots three. Like, their story. Why do we love the Kansas City Chiefs, allegedly, those scumbags? Because of Taylor Swift. There's a story we can connect to. Why do we love Victor Wembanyama? Oh, that's right, we don't. Right? That's
facts, dude.
There's nothing to connect to.
Well, he's the alien, and you got to buy his shoes. Why did Zion flame out? Oh, that's right, because he didn't play any games, so nobody knows him.
And he shouldn't have flamed out. He had a hooker prostitute problem.
Right? You're proving my point. Right? Is that not what people know Zion for? People know Zion for being first team, all fat ass, and getting on
and having a hooker say she swallowed his children.
Yeah,
she said that.
So it's hookers and prostitutes and gambling scandals through your interpreter because you can't speak English because you're an overseas star.
Allegedly.
allegedly, and you want us to pay attention to these dudes for their personality? No. Not in this country. We want the story. That's what we want as Americans.
Yeah, and I go back to Sosa and McGuire in the late 90s. I remember where I was when McGuire broke the record. I was in a Jeep Wrangler with my now Mrs. Monty better half, driving down the 210 freeway in La Cañada.
Listening to it on the radio?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I anyway, I don't know how we got here. The point is, we have changed. Sports has changed because millennials are now the thing. And Gen Y or whatever the hell comes up after them.
Z.
Well, we're Gen X.
You're Gen, yeah.
I'm terrible at the Gen X thing. Blowing out his shoe at Duke, yes, and all the injuries.
Right? Yeah.
Steph is NBA's golden child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And Derrick Rose was the Windy City assassin. Shake my head what could have been. But again, Derrick Rose, zero personality. And that's my dude. I'm a Chicago guy.
But I think I agree, he didn't have a ton of personality, but he had a story. There was something you could follow.
His game had personality. He dunked on people. Yeah. His game had personality.
Yeah.
And anyway, did you see Sosa has reacquired his color? He had skin issues. You know, I'm a Cub. Listen, I'm a Cubs season ticket holder, and I have a Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa gave me a jacket. It's hanging upstairs in my house, and I don't think the guy should be reingratiated into baseball.
Bro, you make it seem like dude had a financial transaction with his skin. He reacquired his color. Like, come on, dude.
You know, some foreign basketball players became fan favorites like Dirk and Mutombo. Big personality.
But again, why Dirk, though? Why? See, Dirk is a great example. Dirk had a big personality, but Dirk was the hero that nobody deserved against the Miami Heat.
But again, personality-wise, Dirk would get drunk and bang a bunch of hot chicks, and then he would kick you in the balls when he was fading away on the jumper. And right? And you look at Luka. You know Luka for his hot mom. And you know Luka he's got a personality. And now he's a divisive villain in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But he wins a championship with the Lakers this year.
My name is Luka.
And he keeps tweeting at Kyrie Irving about leaving the organization.
Dude.
Some things are going to happen. But I think we need personality. No Derrick Rose shade here. Amen to that. Joey Bosa to the 49ers to play with his brother. Can you believe?
Yeah.
Did you guys see this story? And I'm very interested where you guys come down on this. How on earth did the Chargers release Joey Bosa? Well, I know why, because he had a huge cap number and only had 5 sacks in 14 games last year. But he's going to end up playing with his brother Nick, who is one of the best defensive ends in football, on the 49ers next year. I think that's going to happen. And I don't even think that's the biggest story yesterday. I think this right here.
Yes. Yes.
That DK Metcalf's demanded a trade from the Seahawks.
And he did that after Lockett was let go.
And imagine DK Metcalf. Who's a real contender for the Super Bowl? Well, those scumbags in Kansas City.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If he ends up in a place like Kansas City.
Buffalo. Obvious destination.
He'd be an obvious fit in Buffalo, but who wants to go play in Buffalo? That's a real question.
Yeah.
And I will again say you need to go all in on skill position players for Josh Allen. Can you imagine if he ends up in a place where they are legitimately contending to win a Super Bowl? And again, I'll say like Joey Bosa to Detroit. Did you guys see that the Cleveland Dude, where is Wasikowski? I hope you're still here. Did you see what the Cleveland Browns did today? They restructured Deshaun's contract again to add $25 million of cap space this year. You really think they're trading Myles Garrett? Why would the Cleveland Browns want $25 million in cap space? I'm going to get a quarterback. And it's probably Sam Darnold. But again, did you guys see this?
Dude, this is wild, man.
Now, I know nothing on this show, and Ferris Khan will tell you J.J. McCarthy's the greatest quarterback ever. Well, funny, what did Mike Florio say on the Fan in Minneapolis yesterday?
Look, there are different ways it can go. Now that he hasn't been tagged, that's off the table. I thought maybe they would tag and trade him, tag him and keep him for a year. They might still keep him. A lot of it depends on, and this has parallels to Kirk Cousins last year. What else is out there for Sam Darnold? And is he willing to take that in lieu of whatever the Vikings' best offer is? Assuming they're going to put an offer on the table. I have no reason to think they won't put an offer on the table that is good for them. But what is the magic number that would be good for the Vikings to bring Sam Darnold back? And what would the structure look like? Would it be a 1-year deal or would it be 2 years or longer? And 2 years becomes the magic number, magic in a bad way, from J.J. McCarthy's perspective. Because if they make a 2-year commitment to Sam Darnold, I predict J.J. McCarthy's going to ask to be traded. The thinking was, hey, wait a minute. We kind of stumbled into plutonium by accident with Sam Darnold. So J.J. McCarthy is better than any of the quarterbacks in this year's class. You get a top 5 pick for him. You go get some stud player at some other position of need. Win-win. Sorry, J.J.
Right.
Stuff happens, and you're getting a fresh start somewhere else.
And then he went on to say people around the NFL have no idea who's making decisions in Minnesota. And again, I'm telling you to watch the Vikings.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe, most people in NFL circles don't believe that J.J. McCarthy's a franchise player. And why don't they believe that? Because the Vikings don't think he's a franchise player. Because you wouldn't be having conversations with Sam Darnold if you thought J.J. McCarthy was a franchise player. And I think, and I've said this for how long on this show, I think J.J. McCarthy is a guy that they will wind up moving on from. And the Vikings needed to go and sign a quarterback.
Right.
Don't draft a quarterback. That organization needs to sign a quarterback. And I think I would, in like DK Metcalf, I would watch the Chicago Bears on DK Metcalf. And not just because I'm a diehard. I am telling you, players in this league want to go and play in Chicago now.
Well, and there's no question that division's up for grabs right now. I think these decisions around J.J. McCarthy and, the Bears, like guys want to play for the Bears right now. Like it's a good situation. Teams have, players have the desire to play in good spots. And the Bears are one of the few spots in the league right now that are clearly moving in the right direction. You can clearly say, okay, hey, if I go and play for that team, we're going to be, that should be a pretty good offense. Like if you're DK Metcalf, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, you've been the great defender of Caleb Williams. Football guys understand the situation for Caleb last year and what it looks like this year. So yeah, I think DK would be a great fit in Chicago. I think that's an attractive destination. But yeah, I think Minnesota is a team that needs to kind of choose a direction here. So Sam Darnold balls his ass off last year, then has the fall off in the playoffs, and that clearly turned the narrative on him. Then there was all the speculation about, hey, we're not going to tag him and, make him stay here. We're going to let this float a little bit. And now you've got this JJ McCarthy situation, and JJ's been a controversial pick. Like a lot of people felt like, oh, he's going to be amazing. I never felt that way. If you look at his college tape, it clearly paints a picture of a guy who was just a facilitator as a quarterback, not like a game changer.
Yes.
And so for me, I look at it and I say, yeah, I would go down the route that Florio's talking about there. I would trade J.J. McCarthy. I would re-sign Sam, and I would go out and I would make a run at a wide receiver. I would. Because Minnesota's biggest problem has been that the duo of Justin Jefferson and company hasn't been enough to get it done when they need to get it done.
Yeah.
So they have to figure it out.
Eric in Durham, the 49ers might be the best in the history of the NFL. Could be.
At what?
Yeah. And the Niners are going to get Robert Saleh back to be a D coordinator. I thought that was done already.
Yeah, I thought they did that.
I thought they did that already.
Let me check that really quick.
Yeah. Fabio says Cousins made a ton of money off of being tagged. He did in multiple places, and then he got paid in Atlanta too. So we'll see. Jesse Ventura secretly making the decision for the Vikings. Outrageous. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Salah's with the 49ers.
Yeah. Wasikowskinator, the NFC North is an arms race. I think you're right. And I think I would really watch the Bears on DK Metcalf. We'll see if they're willing to extend him, because for those of you who don't know, DK Metcalf's got 1 year left on his deal. So the hill is steep to climb if you're going to acquire him.
He wants $30 million a year as well.
Yeah, you'll need to compensate Seattle, and then you're going to need to extend him on a deal that's probably going to be 180, 150, 180. I'm not paying DK Metcalf $200 million. No, I'm not doing that. But, and you look at, did anybody notice yesterday, speaking of bad contracts, did anybody notice what Jerry Jones and the Cowboys have done the last 2 days? Oh, yeah, they restructured that Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb deal.
Selectively aggressive.
When you're doing that, it tells you when you're saving $20 to $30 million per player, it tells you the contract was bad to begin with.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson, like, you look at all these deals. Why was Bosa released? Because at the end of his contract, he had a $25 million cap number. Wait a minute. You're telling me you restructured Dak's deal into a $45 million signing bonus and save $25 million on the cap? That tells me that's a really bad contract.
And who are you going to go after? The Cowboys going to take a run at DK? Or the Cowboys going to?
I think they would.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of issues. And what did Stephen Jones say? We're going to be selectively aggressive.
Selectively aggressive.
That's going to be interesting. Redwine, what are you talking about? Use the FBI and the CIA to find out what?
What are you talking about?
Bro, some days this comment section. Mike Smith, he is likely Santa Claus. He is everywhere. Okay.
Bro, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah, I don't know. RX with the stupid comment of the day. Harbaugh would trade for JJ McCarthy. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy, Justin Herbert.
He's got no class.
Why would you trade? So you would release or trade Justin Herbert, who you just signed to an extension, to trade for JJ McCarthy? That's not happening. Bus driver QB on the right team can work. Well, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. Bears drafting Ginty. I think next Monday's mock drafts are going to be remarkably different. Because the Bears now, you've signed two of the better, or you've acquired two of the better available offensive linemen. So we'll see what that looks like.
I do think the draft is going to get turned on its head a little bit, because you just got a lot of situations developing now. I mean, the Bosa situation, the McCarthy situation, the DK situation. Like, I look at a team like the Raiders. Like, you think the Raiders aren't going to go after Tyler Lockett with Pete Carroll and putting that back together? You think that there are other teams out there that could potentially move up in the draft and make some things happen. But that's why I'm saying, like, these mock drafts, like right now, any mock draft before all the cap manipulation happens is always going to be different than the one that rolls up on draft day.
Is Jameis Winston a starting quarterback?
Probably
not
so.
On a championship team.
No.
And because I'm sitting here Rolodexing the available quarterbacks, Sam Darnold's the best available quarterback on the market.
Yeah.
And if you're Cleveland, I just think Cleveland's at a point with Stefanski where you can't risk drafting a quarterback. I think you need to sign Sam Darnold, and I think you need to draft the best available player, because you have a lot of needs on that team. I think you have to trade Myles Garrett, because there's no coming off of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trade him. I think if I were Cleveland, I would trade Myles Garrett, and I would likely be very, very aggressive in the skill position market. because like Nick Chubb is not going back there, right? They needed to move on from that, right?
Yeah.
I think when we start looking at guys like T. Higgins and Trey Smith, T. Higgins, what do you do with T? You can't let T. Higgins walk away from Cincinnati.
No.
Yeah, are you going to break up that triumvirate of talent there? I'm not.
It's clearly showing you it's capable.
Right? Like I think when I look at the mock drafts now, and we start looking at, okay, what is this really? If we look at the number one pick in the draft, don't the New York Giants have to go and make that trade? Don't they have to go and get the number one pick?
Yes.
You don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, you got to go do it.
Right? And most people think that'd be Cam Ward. Can anybody fault the Giants if they trade up and draft Cam Ward in a draft with maybe 2 quarterbacks?
No, I wouldn't fault them at all. I think that's, again, people are not going to let the Saquon thing go, especially now that they've won a Super Bowl with him. So this would be a good decision, in my opinion, draft up, go get Cam Ward. That's a no-lose proposition.
But if you signed Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal in Cleveland, are you drafting a quarterback behind him? No, you're probably not, because you got to win now.
Yeah.
With how bad the stadium situation blew up in Cleveland, you can't keep missing the playoffs with Jameis Winston, with washcloth guy. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, what are you doing at quarterback? I think that is a huge question. And Florio dropping that bomb about who's making the decisions. If you are the Minnesota Vikings, can you take a risk on J.J. McCarthy?
No, not with how competitive the division is right now. I think,
but to Wasikowski's point,
yeah, I think
it's an arms race.
And again, I think, the Packers are a team that people want to give more credit to than I think they probably deserve. I think the Packers need to show us that they can compete for the division before we just give them that accolade. I think the problem is that the Lions have obviously lost, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, and so they're going through that process.
Yes,
and so people wonder, hey, like, are the Lions going to be as prolific as they were? What's going to be that fall off that they have to make up with their team? So if you look at this division, you're sitting here and you're saying, okay, well, you've got an upstart Bears team that's clearly on the right track. Can they put together a 9-10 win season? You've got the Vikings that have this quarterback situation and, frankly, a leadership situation happening. And again, they have Justin Jefferson. You've got that weapon. You could put together a decent offense here. But the question is, if they go the Sam Darnold route and it flames again in the playoffs, do they look stupid?
Well,
do you look like an idiot for keeping Sam and getting rid of JJ, never really giving JJ a chance to, show what he can do?
Where does Darnold want to go? If you're Sam Darnold, do you want the Giants? Do you want the Jets? Look how many QB thirsty teams there are.
Yeah.
Do you want the Cleveland Browns?
No. Nope.
You probably do not. Why do you think the Rams held on to Stafford? Because he was in demand.
Well, you either have a quarterback or you don't.
They thought they had that trade done with the New York Giants. The New York Giants thought they had Matthew Stafford. And at the 11th hour, who are you, Michigan, filing an injunction in front of a football player of a judge?
Yeah.
At the 11th hour, I'm a jerk. I'm a jerk.
Bruh.
My point is, the 11th hour in 59th second before that trade happened, Matthew Stafford pulled out and signed back with the Rams.
Yeah.
This is a quarterback thirsty league.
And again, Sam, dude, Kevin O'Connell is a good fit for you, bro. Kevin O'Connell is a really nice fit for Sam Darnold.
He should go back there on a 2-year deal, man.
He should go back there on a 2-year deal. And listen, if that, as the old saying goes, if that makes JJ McCarthy feel some type of way, ship his ass out.
A certain types of way.
If dude doesn't want to wait his turn, ship him out. I get it. I understand. And frankly, if you're going to give Sam a 2 to 3 year deal, you need to ship JJ out because you need to invest that value in another area on the roster. We can no longer continue to have a roster that is, patchwork offensively and the defense is suspect week to week. That's why you lost in the playoffs, because there were too many holes in your roster.
I mean, if you think about who is the best player available in free agency
right now, it's probably DK. I would think.
But you have to trade for him.
You do.
In free agency, it's probably Ronnie Stanley, the tackle. He's probably... Is Baltimore going to let Ronnie Stanley get away? That's the question I think you have to ask yourself. And why do people do mock drafts? Dude, do you understand that every NFL team has their own mock draft? You have to prepare. You have to model.
Yeah, it's a lay of the land, dude.
Yeah, it's intelligence. Dude, I've talked to former NFL coaches about this. Mike Martz, there's a bunch of dudes I've talked to about the intelligence in the NFL. And when I mean intelligence, I don't mean how stupid you are.
No, he means like Jason Bourne intelligence.
Yes, behind the scenes, like spy type stuff.
Right.
They all have it. They all pay dudes for it. Every NFL general manager in his office has a huge board, and most of them now cover it. But they have an NFL mock draft on one board. They have an NFL free agency tracker on another board. And then they have their talent evaluations and player rankings. You have to be prepared. Every NFL team does it. Yeah. And it is essential. It is, in my opinion, it is absolutely essential. Even teams themselves do mock drafts. Exactly right. TJ Beck, good morning. The Bears are in a win right now mindset. I would really pay attention to the Bears on DK Metcalf. Because, again, I know I don't know the NFL or football at all. You guys tell me that daily. I'm stupid. You have a generational quarterback in Caleb Williams, and he proved that last year. They have gone out and gotten Joe Thuney yesterday. That's probably the best interior pass pro guy in the NFL. You've added talent on the offensive line. You're losing talent outside. DK Metcalf would be, and then when we start looking at mock drafts and we start looking at, who goes where, I think you start asking yourself, if the Bears are spending money on offensive line, what does that tell you? They're not willing to risk, or they didn't like what they saw at the combine.
Yep.
They're going to draft somewhere else. And my guess is there's going to be a lot of movement in the first 5 picks. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears were either in to move up to get a guy or traded out of their spot and picked up extra picks. Like, they have flexibility. But look at these teams that need a quarterback. Are the New York Giants calling Aaron Rodgers? I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers has really hurt himself with how the Jets thing went down. I don't think that he is, he's clearly probably, top 3 quarterbacks right now in free agency, but it's going to be a very specific situation. I'm not.
What do the Raiders do at quarterback? Is Justin Fields or Russell Wilson a better fit for the Seattle Seahawks? Look at the teams who could make is Geno Smith your guy in Seattle? Is the second best quarterback right now in the NFL? A lot of people think the second best quarterback will end up in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Does Russell Wilson want to play for Pete Carroll again?
Probably not.
Probably not. Is Justin Fields a franchise quarterback? Probably not. Probably not.
I'd rather have Fields than Jameis Winston, I can tell you that.
Well, I think Jameis is now a backup.
Yeah.
But if you're Aaron Rodgers, are you going to play for the Raiders? If you're Sam Darnold, are you going to play for the Raiders? Is Tom Brady enough of a draw to get Sam Darnold to turn down, let's say, 2 years from the Vikings to go and be the franchise guy on a 5-year deal in Las Vegas? And I don't think they've shown no signs they will. If Atlanta releases Kirk Cousins, if Geno isn't the guy anymore in Seattle,
mm-hmm.
I don't. What's the best available quarterback position? I don't know that there is one. It's probably if Minnesota is going to sign a quarterback, it's probably Minnesota.
I would agree
because KO's a phenomenal quarterback coach.
Yeah.
Cleveland with Stefanski. I don't know of a better quarterback guy than Stefanski. That's a really good position. But will they win? Are they in a position where if you're Sam Darnold, pick your quarterback. Do you want to go play in Cleveland? I don't know that you do.
Until you've moved on from the Deshaun situation.
I think Deshaun is as good as dead there.
Yeah, but my point is that cloud is still chilling. That cloud is still around. Like, I'm not saying that Deshaun's a threat to take a job. What I'm saying is that the organization itself needs to move on from that and needs to get back to a place where it's like, hey, we're going to make reasonable decisions. Like, we're not going to give a guy who, is completely unproven, ridiculous money after all those scandals. Like, I just think reputationally the Browns have taken a pretty big hit here. And I think if you're a quarterback, if you're the Sam Darnolds of the world,
Aaron Rodgers,
the right example. He's never going to play for the Cleveland Browns.
He's not going to the Giants.
Yeah.
But if you look at the teams that are really going to pay for a quarterback, Giants, Raiders, Titans, they're not going to win this year. How many more years does Aaron Rodgers have left? How many contenders need a quarterback? The Minnesota Vikings are a contender. You put a good quarterback on that team. Look until week 18 of last year. Darnold was an MVP candidate.
Yes.
How do you not make every effort to bring him back? Why would you pick J.J. McCarthy over a 2-year deal with Darnold?
A proven formula that will get you to the playoffs.
I absolutely would not.
Hey, maybe, and I think this needs to be considered. Maybe the Vikings front office and maybe even KO himself are saying, hey, was that a flash in the pan season out of Sam? I mean, we've never seen a season like that out of Sam. Was that a flash in the pan and he came back to earth when he started playing better teams, I guess? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Sam Darnold situation is super, super subjective. It all depends on who you ask. And that's why the Florio thing about who's in charge and who's making decisions and, who is this really going to come down to is so crucial, because the Darnold thing is not just a numbers game per se. It's not just, hey, what was your contract? What we have to pay you? It's not as simple as that, oddly enough. It's more about belief in him and belief in where the organization's going. Because remember, before last year happened, where were the Vikings at mentally as an organization? Hey, we drafted JJ. We're kind of in a rebuild, might be strong, but certainly retool. We're gonna not be a 10-win team, probably gonna be a 7-8 win team. Teaching JJ the ropes, and then Sam just showed up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. When you look at I think the Vikings have to be very aggressive at quarterback or you're going to backslide. Can the Bears afford DK? That's the key. With any team looking at DK, he is a F around and find out guy. Well, he wants $30 million a year. The Bears
F around and find out.
I think the Bears are down to $45 million in cap space.
Yeah.
And New England's got 128. Vegas has 95. Chargers now have 90. Washington's got 78. Arizona's got 77. Nobody is talking about the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody. Minnesota's got 63. Pittsburgh in the Pittsburgh 59. The Rams 55. Cincinnati 52 and Tennessee 52.
Cardinals are another one. Nobody wants to play there, dude.
Nobody wants to play there. Nobody wants to play there. And
why would you?
I would agree with that. I think the Bears have the cap space. I just don't. We'll see. Phenomenal Hebrew. Mock drafts are content fillers. No, they're not. You have to fill airtime on ESPN. And what sports is popular to bloviate about? The NFL. You could not be further from the truth.
Yeah, I think it's crazy to say they're content fillers.
A, mock drafts make you money. B, I don't know. Yeah, if you don't understand the importance of mock drafts, it's going to be hard for me to change your opinion. And even for a down year, Adams still put up respectable numbers with the Jets, 100%. We debated this yesterday morning about, do we want to have a conversation about what Devontae Adams has left in the tank? I think he's got a lot left in the tank.
I agree.
And if he ends up, again, Devontae on a contender, he is a great veteran. The problem in places like Detroit's got to shore up their defense. If you are Devontae's not going back to Green Bay. I doubt he's going back to Las Vegas. It just depends on who you are and what you value.
Yeah, I mean, I think Devontae, is in a place where, he wants to have a good locker room situation, but I think he wants to win. I mean, look at the past couple of seasons for this guy who is a stud. I mean, this is a guy who went through a crap season in Las Vegas, is literally on tape and on camera saying to get me the hell out of here before I get put in the hospital. Like, he said that on the bench in Las Vegas and got caught on tape saying it. Then goes to the Jets because of A-Rod and that, what was supposed to be the second coming of their great relationship that never happened. So if you're Devontae Adams, it's time to get off of the drama train, dude. It's time to get off of playing for crappy organizations and trying to make fairy tales come true. It's time to get into a good organization that's got a good setup and has a proven track record. And frankly, if I'm Devontae, I mean, I don't know his money situation. I'm not saying he's got to take a massive discount, but I would be willing to take some concessions on salary to get to a good spot where I could actually play meaningful football.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix it. I think Devontae has to find a place where he fits well. And again, I don't know if like who's the best available, like Byron Murphy's the best available corner.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold's the best available quarterback. Milton Williams, I mean, he's going to get paid now after Philadelphia. I'm very interested. What are the New England Patriots doing? They have $130 million in cap space. And what are you doing?
Darius Slay's available as well.
I think, is Drake May your quarterback of the future? No question. You need to go get a number one. You need to shore up. Like, they have so many problems on that roster. Cincinnati, I think, is very interesting. You're going to have to find extensions for T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, right? I think the Jamar Chase situation has to get taken care of immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Shane with the Giants has to win right now. If they have $50 million in cap space, do it. And then there's the Denver Broncos, who nobody's talking about. And Denver's another team that's got cap space. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts,
mm-hmm.
which is why I say, if you don't understand mock drafts and their importance, Jeremy Bolton, I don't think any teams are calling Rodgers, right? Like, who wants to deal with that? I don't think he has it anymore. I think he can play. I think he is in demand. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to play. He is a workout warrior. He'll be in phenomenal shape. It's just a matter of who's the contender that says this is a guy that, with this roster, if we had Aaron Rodgers, we could win right now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think that Aaron Rodgers, like I said, my opinion is I think he damaged his reputation. I don't think people doubt he can still sling it and can still run around. I think there's no disputing that he's not the same runner he was. He's not able to move the same way he used to be able
would agree.
to. So with that in mind, plus the drama from the Jets, again, it's subjective. It depends who you ask. I mean, if you're asking me, I would never have the guy on my team. I just wouldn't. I would rather take the risk with Sam, or I'd rather draft high in the draft. Like, I'm not going to put a toxic character in my locker room. I'm not.
Yeah, I can't believe the Raiders would do that. Yeah. I just cannot. I cannot believe the Raiders would do that.
Yeah.
That would be. I think the Bears want to hit the ground running. Wasting years waiting for players to develop isn't the mandate. It's not anymore. Isn't McCarthy on a rookie deal? He is. How much can you really invest his cap space into another player? A lot. A lot. I mean, I see what you mean. If you trade him, it's not that. It's just that he won't sit happily beside and wait.
Yeah, it'll be a problem.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, Raiders sign A-Rod, bring back Adams. Most Raider thing to do, could be. Noel, Rogers should have retired 3 years ago. I think he's still a productive quarterback. It's just you can't have that dysfunction. That's just me. Gino's a system guy. It took a long time for him to arrive, and it took Pete Carroll's system to save his career. Are you a Gino guy?
Yeah, I mean, Gino is, I would say Gino is solid. I think Gino is somebody who's never going to be a problem for your organization. He's not going to be a problem for your team, your locker room. Like, he's one of those guys. He is the career 9-to-5er, man. He comes into the building, he's prepared. He gives you 100%, and his 100% is not Super Bowl good. Like, it's not, but it is borderline playoff good, and that's valuable in the league. And again, you're talking about the Raiders and whether A-Rod and Devontae would go to the Raiders. Like, I'm sitting here telling you that I'd rather have Gino than Aaron Rodgers right now, because I'm not interested in the drama and just the, dumpster fire might be strong, but just the look at how it burned down in New York, man. You had a guy come out in Aaron Rodgers in his first season, tears his Achilles, and let's not forget, what did this guy say? I'm going to be back in 5 minutes. I'm going to be back in, I think it was like 4 months. That was his proclaimed, recovery period from his Achilles. Like, we had the Achilles injury, we had just the whole thing not work out. And so, yeah, where am I at on Gino? I like Geno Smith a lot. He's not Super Bowl good, but he's not going to be a problem for you. And he can run an offense and stay out of the way, and you can be a playoff team. So I think he's solid, but you're never going to convince anybody that the guy is going to be the reason you won a Super Bowl. That's the problem.
I agree with that. Mile High Phil. Morning, fellas. Morning. Is there a market for Zach Wilson and a trade for Denver to get additional draft picks? I don't know why you would want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to do that. Brandon Butler. By definition, contenders already have their quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has to go to a second-tier team that is a piece away. That's very interesting, because Cleveland will tell you that's who they are. Minnesota is definitely, in my opinion, one of those teams. No doubt about it.
A piece away.
That's a quarterback away.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt. Jimmy Otson, no contender will go for A-Rod. It's not worth it. I think that's not how most contenders view Aaron Rodgers.
You really think that people still like Aaron Rodgers?
I know people still like Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a matter of is Aaron Rodgers because there's not going to be a media circus around Aaron Rodgers. I think there's this belief that this is Deshaun Watson level. It's not. Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback who's not a distraction 9 out of 10 years. It's the Jets. I think you have to remember that. Was Aaron Rodgers a distraction in Green Bay? There were some. I'm immunized, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there was some of that BS. But on the regular, he was not a distraction in Green Bay. He went to one of the most dysfunctional situations in the NFL and thought he could change it. And it turns out nobody can change it.
Yeah.
So it's why I worry about Aaron Glenn, who's one of the best dudes in the NFL. Are you going to win there? Now, if Woody Johnson steps up and actually lets football, I think they can. But Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, wasn't even the biggest problem in New York. I think you had a bunch of dudes who didn't want to conform and didn't want to be professionals. I think if you're the Raiders, you would be over the moon to get Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree that Aaron Rodgers still has gas left in the tank. I think that the thing is that, to your point, like, if he goes to the Raiders, let's say, just as an example, are the dudes showing up to the locker room every day in Las Vegas trying to be as professional as possible, or professional to the point where it would get to the playoffs and you would actually contend?
Nope.
So with that being the obvious answer, again, for Aaron Rodgers, when you look at his career, and if you put yourself in his shoes, he's screwed by his career standpoint, because he doesn't have a place to go where it's a natural, hey, if I go in there, we're going to win or have a chance to win a Super Bowl. That's why the Jet thing, that's why everyone was on that, because it was like, hey, we've got this elite defense and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae, and like, but again, the way he handled Diana Rossini, the way he kind of handled the media, like, I don't think it was all. I think it was a combination. Is my point.
Oh, is there an asshole factor with Aaron Rodgers? Yes.
Yeah, the guy is just not like he's not. He likes himself a lot. He does things the way he wants to do them, and 9 times out of 10, that's not conducive to building a good culture in the locker room. And has he been that way his whole career? No, but we're not talking about his whole career. We're talking about who he is now. And so that's why I say I agree. The Raiders going out to sign Aaron Rodgers would be very Raider-like. You not caring about the downside and just saying, hey, he's a great quarterback, bring him in. Okay, cool. Sell jerseys.
I have to think that I hate the word culture change. Tom Brady and Pete Carroll being significant voices in Las Vegas is a culture change.
It is.
And if Aaron Rodgers goes anywhere in flames, his legacy is destroyed. And I think he knows that. If he goes somewhere and they thrive, it was the Jets' fault. And I think that's what he's looking for.
Would Tom Brady help Aaron Rodgers?
I think he would. Why wouldn't he? TJ Beck, with all the money the Cowboys make off their brand, do they really care about winning? Their actions speak differently, in my opinion. I think they care about winning. They're just not good at winning.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have no idea what they're doing.
Selectively aggressive.
They don't understand the impacts of waiting to sign Lamb and Dak on the very last second and how much extra money that costs them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and they're starting to understand that now that they've restructured.
Well, you're starting to feel that impact now.
But I think to TJ's comment, the restructuring situation in Dallas, that is them flexing and saying, hey, we can just burn money. Like, we can just do that.
Perfect landing spot for Aaron Bishop Sycamore. There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Phenomenal Hebrew. Indianapolis Colts need a quarterback. A stop draft quarterback like Aaron Rodgers should be considered. The Aaron Rodgers isn't going to Indianapolis.
No.
That is a horrendous situation.
Yeah.
What do you guys make of this Pat McAfee thing from yesterday?
Oh, man, dude.
And I keep going. I keep trying to find ways to like Pat McAfee. I truly do.
Before we get to it, have you been watching Pat as much, like you and everyone in the comment section? Have you guys been watching Pat? Like I haven't found myself watching Pat very much. And I'm not saying that nobody watches it. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying I don't feel like Pat right now has that star power that he once had, like where it was like appointment television where you had to watch every day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And the question is Pat McAfee worth the drama? So he goes to the NFL Combine, it's in Indianapolis. It's in his backyard. It's down the street from his crib.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee apparently felt disrespected by what he called middle managers at the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So Pat is now refusing to go to the NFL draft. Refusing. Is Aaron Rodgers a pain in the ass? Yes. But is Pat McAfee worth that kind of headache? Because I compare Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers. I think they're the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think they're the same guy, and I just don't know that Pat McAfee's worth it.
I've gotten to the point where there were so many of them about me. If I was to address every single thing that was being said that was bullshit, even though the quotes in the whole show is already out there, I would be spending my entire life addressing bullshit. So with that being said, I don't think I've ever said insufficient respect in my life. Now, granted, was there a lack of respect? For sure. But the Combine and the draft, 2 different events. Okay, Combine, got approved to be there. That was going to be a big deal, lucky to be there. Then, a few days beforehand, some people at that middle level who have power wanted to flex the fact that they have power, I think. Created some problems, obviously. I'm going to have to sign off on this. I'm going to have to say this. You can't do this. You can't do that. This is what I'm saying, yada, yada. All bullshit, And I adhered to all of it. I even went down and did a site survey by myself with a tape measure to make sure there was enough room. I don't want to play their games. So we said we're not going to the draft. But it wasn't directly because of the insufficient respect from the Combine. But it is a lack of it on a regular basis from one group of people just making life harder on everybody.
Great. Don't go to the draft. I don't give a rat's ass. I got to be honest with you. I love what Pat McAfee used to be. Brash, funny, on topic, big interview, great. But now he's just turned into this circus where the other guys on that show talk way too much. AJ Hawk isn't entertaining. And now it's a controversy with the middle managers of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And it's not Pat's first time talking about management issues.
I get worn out on this. I get worn out on the drama. I just want sports talk. So I don't watch Aaron Rodgers or I don't watch Pat McAfee anymore.
Well, and I think the thing, much like Aaron, honestly,
it is a perfect comparison,
it
Pat
really
McAfee
is,
to Aaron Rodgers.
Because Pat, I think that, when we talk about burnout factor, right? Like a lot of people have burned out on Aaron Rodgers and the antics. And I think that same thing is happening with Pat here. And I think that it's telling that Pat put out a video on his couch from his house about this, like felt the need to speak on it and felt the need to at first deny that there was a lack of respect and then say there was.
Yep.
And like, I have always maintained that Pat McAfee loves to live in that place where there's drama and it's about him. We all remember the interviews and like, when the wrestling thing came out, everyone was all upset about that. And he did a bunch of interviews. Like it just, there's been, listen, nobody's going to say that Pat McAfee is some social butterfly. Pat McAfee wants to, do things big and bold and be in your face with things. But, again, you have to find a balance. You can't just always be the pain in the ass in the room
all the time.
Yeah, you can't always be a problem. And that's where I say, like, when we ask the question, like, is Pat McAfee worth all of this? I think it's hard to define what makes him worth it. But I think the way ESPN leverages him is, and you guys have seen this, right? Where ESPN will put out all these graphics about how, like, across all platforms, he's got a gazillion views and everything's amazing. And that's great for ESPN. I think that in that way, Pat does, fulfill his value in that way. But yeah, to get that value out of him, you got to deal with all the, as he put it, BS, right? There's all this stuff that you have to deal with, to a point where Pat was naming names on his show while on ESPN. Like he was naming the brass at ESPN while doing his show on the network. Like
it's a lot of noise and it's not worth it. And I am disappointed because I actually went on a run where I watched Pat McAfee every single day. It was on the studio TV. Like we used to, and people, when we were in the office building, people would come in and watch Pat's show and we would all putt and, like it was something you could have on in the background. You can't even have it on in the background anymore.
Yeah.
And it because it's just so nonsensical. And I don't know. I wish Pat would refine his abilities to focus and talk about sports, but this is why he's bounced around.
Yeah.
It's why he left Barstool to FanDuel to.
It burns people out.
You can't constantly be the problem.
And I have to say, I do think that I don't know his contract, how long it is off the top of my head. I don't know if you do.
Forever.
But it's a good long while contract. I have to say, like, I don't know if it continues this way, what ESPN would do with the show. If they would keep the show, if they would
they'll
say
keep
no.
the show, I think for sure.
Well,
I think that Pat is just so stupidly talented. He's entertained. When he's at his best, nobody does sports talk better than Pat. But this bro talk and this wearing a t-shirt and a tank top, and I get burned out on it. I do. Eric and Raleigh, he has all the BS to address because that's who he is. He is not a simple guy.
Yeah.
He is not. I would agree with that. Pat has always been too bro for me. Guy who would be rude to people, but then someone's rude to him and it's the end of the world. There's something like that. I guarantee the NFL told ESPN he wouldn't be welcomed. I don't know if they said that or not. Pat, don't forget, Pat's an NFL alumni.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. Ferris says McAfee is the villain. Desmond Howard is the hero. What does Desmond
Yeah,
Howard
what
have
does he
to do with anything?
dude?
What are you talking about? Like some days, Ferris, you just show up and I'm not sure what weed you're smoking, but change it up. Brash and funny only works for so long. He's out of things to say. And I wonder if that's the case.
Well, and I think, you were saying earlier that all the guys talk more than Pat does. And I think that's because, I'm not saying he's lazy. I don't know if it's laziness, but I just don't feel like the show you're putting on right now is well thought out, prepared, topically based. Like you're just kind of flowing through different stories.
Which isn't that why you said you went to ESPN so you could just focus on the show instead of the business? And that's what he said. Pat is a great YouTube podcaster, but I don't think I like him. I don't like him on ESPN type show.
Yeah, I think it was always out of the norm for ESPN, and I think that's why they did it. I think they wanted something that kind of broke the mold and, was just kind of, very different than just the talking head shows like First Take or, whichever show you want to look at. But I look, man, I'm a huge believer when someone's paying you money to do something, you got to make it worth their while. There has to be an exchange of value that takes place. Pat's value is monetary from ESPN. And Pat's value to ESPN is that he brings viewership. And again, notice I'm not saying nobody watches. He's clearly got a huge following. There's no question. But at some point, that toxicity, that drama, that need to constantly be a talking point in the suits meeting, if you will, that is going to get him. And it may not be tomorrow or 5 years from now, but at some point, his reputation, and again, the Aaron Rodgers comparison, this is why I don't believe, personally, my opinion on Aaron is that I don't think he's in massive demand. I think there are maybe 3 destinations, maybe. That's why, though, because if he was a team player, someone that helped build a locker room and was good with people, he would be in massive demand.
And I think you can only be crapping yourself in a dark hole on ayahuasca for so long.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what Pat McAfee's got to learn.
To make it worse, Pat does facilitate Aaron Rodgers' shenanigans.
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
No doubt.
Yes, he does. Y'all see Sanders is dropping in the draft. Someone's trying to save money. I think there is absolutely credence to this belief that people think Shedeur Sanders would be a headache and that he was arrogant at the draft. I think I agree he's dropping. And maybe I also think Jackson Dart was wildly impressive at the combine. His performance on the field, his interviews off of it.
Again, I'm going to say, if you're going to roll up to the combine, and I don't have a problem with it personally, but I know executives do. If you're going to roll up to the combine iced out, it's probably not the look you're going for, in my opinion. But how about we play the ball out at the combine card and do everything and crush the interviews
and give away your combine clothing on the street like what's his name did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, how about we go that route instead of having to flex all the NIL money and all of that? Dude, people know you have money, bro. This is the thing. And again, this is what makes people, right? I'm not saying Shedeur's a bad guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. But you're rolling up to the combine with 2 of the most iced out chains I think I've ever seen a dude wear at the combine. And they were beautiful. Gorgeous, amazing.
Yeah.
But that's not the place for it.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting. ESPN has said that the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos are the number 1 options for DK Metcalf. And Kansas City also in the mix.
Yeah.
We'll see on that. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure but we'll see. I don't know. I feel Josh Pate is starting to go down that path too. He's starting to feel himself too much. I don't know who Josh Pate is.
I think that's a YouTuber, but I couldn't tell you.
With all due respect, I don't know who that is. Wait, is this Monty Show Bro Talk? I don't think we do. Do we do Bro Talk on this show?
I just wouldn't read another one of his comments today.
Dude, honestly. Arrogance is just hardly ever an attribute we respect. Aaron Rodgers just presents himself as I know better than everyone else, whether you like it or not. Massive turnoff. I don't disagree with that. Brandon Butler, Pat Mack is like Doritos, empty calories, killing you slowly and giving you nothing in return.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Eric and Raleigh, the Minty Show is light bro talk, but Minty is a reporter first and foremost. Could be. I appreciate that. Seth Hatmaker, Jackson Dart rising like Marty said. I'm telling you. I will give Pat his due in one respect. He did his thing his way and is loyal to his guys. Amen.
Agreed. I agree with that. Yeah.
I thought he would sell out and change a bunch once on ESPN, but he's still doing his thing. That's a great point, Mike. Great, or excuse me, Mountain Mama. Great point. Brandon Butler, they will keep the show, but move it to the Deuce or the Ocho.
The Deuce.
Come on, man. Pat is true to his roost, West Virginian. He's a true Yinzer. There you go. Delaric, Pat is better as a WWE voice than a sports talk. Well, he's really a good sports talk guy when he's focused. And I'm a big believer, not to get too philosophical, boys, because you don't want to do the bro talk thing. You got to have a no man in your life. You got to have somebody that says no. And I think that's lacking in the Pat McAfee realm. Pat is much like Rogan. I think that the burnout effect that people are finally starting to get to.
Yeah.
I used to be a Daily Joe Rogan listener, and the burnout factor was real. McAfee and Michael Cole play off each other perfectly. Never seen it once. Ferris just talks about anything Michigan with no regard to what we're talking about. Nothing new here. I like Ferris. Ferris, when it's not the Michigan BS, is great. But the problem is, like, I'm assuming Desmond Howard is a Michigan reference for you, Ferris. Nobody gives a flying flip about Desmond Howard. We're talking about Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be such a red ass that you say things that nobody wants. Like, that's one of the stupidest. Like, can you just talk sports? Not everything has to be about Michigan. Not everything has to be that Ohio State sucks. And that you want to talk about burnout factor? I'm so tired of Michigan fan. Ohio State sucks. They just won the national championship, and you're using them as a reason why the Big Ten's the best conference in the country.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be a red ass for once. Weird how these two take comments out of context. Here we go. I respond to other people's comments instead of dissing it. Look at the context. That's not my job.
Yeah.
It's not my job. When you have guaranteed contracts, they have to pay McAfee regardless of how he acts. They do.
Oh, and he knows that. He's damn well aware of that.
They do.
That's why he goes about it the way he does.
Disney buys whatever is popular, like Star Wars, Marvel, Pat, and then tries to homogenize it. Look at you talking about milk. Make it consumer palatable and kills the product. Not Pat, because I agree with Mike Smith. Pat hasn't changed. I bet Fox Sports would love to get Pat on their channel. I think they would. Man, Fox is just not on my radar.
No.
At all. ESPN had to homogenize McAfee to a certain degree because he isn't allowed to curse on ESPN like he can on YouTube, and yet he still does. He still curses on ESPN.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It is what it is. I hate that we can't just have conversations without people. Every day somebody gets the red ass in here.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton, the mayor of Montytown, who is always the biggest red ass in the comments. I moved Chipotle to the Deuce if you know what I mean. Okay, dude. You want to talk about choosing violence? I woke up this morning and that was the first thing I did.
Is that why the shower experience happened? Because you were PDHing and the shower
When, again, not to keep saying it, but when you get up as early as we get up, Thursday's a tough day.
It is.
I don't know how Monday and Thursdays routinely suck.
Yeah.
Until because you're catatonic, you do the show and you have all this energy during the show and you get fired up and noon hits and I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. See you tomorrow.
It's literally over, dude. I'm telling you, yesterday I was falling asleep at my desk.
Oh.
And I stood up and walked around for 5 minutes so I wouldn't fall asleep. Like, that's the level.
Buckshot.
Dude, it's so difficult sometimes.
Oh, man. Mayor of Bro Talk Town, I believe he is. Can you make a comparison between Archie Manning and Deion Sanders dictating behind the scenes what teams take their son? Do you guys really think Deion's doing that?
I don't think he is, but yeah, I think people love to play that narrative with Deion.
I don't know, TJ. It's an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Archie Manning and with the Chargers, Eli Manning thing. I think that's a really interesting comparison. I do. Dion is manipulating his son's draft team location so he can go coach him in the NFL. That's what everybody says. For sure. Brandon Butler with the hot milk talk, getting me all horned up.
Stay hard.
Okay. Chris E., what did Dart show in the combine? Ewers was the best quarterback in the combine. Well, that's not what people are saying. Quinn Ewers had a great combine. Jackson Dart proved that the naysayers were wrong.
Jackson Dart's mechanics are terrible.
No, they are not.
They are not.
They are not terrible.
See, again, we're getting to, or at least I am getting to a point with the comment section where sometimes I'm just like, hey, you're saying something that's just factually not true. Like, his mechanics are not terrible. He has a great deep ball. His arm strength is proven. Like, can his mechanics get better? Yeah. So can everybody else's mechanics. Like, you're always looking to improve and become more efficient and become better at your craft. Always, of course. But to say that the guy's mechanics are terrible, I just think is
18 of 23. And of those, five incompletes, 4 were drops. And I'm just reading you from the grading, the NFL grading scale. Jackson Dart showed he has plenty of arm strength, capable of making just about every pass, and his completion percentage would have been much higher had the receiver actually caught the ball.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at his performance numbers. He walked into the draft rated number 75 at the quarterback position, which is outrageous. And he left the draft number 4.
But I know his mechanics are awful, and he had a terrible combine and everything. You know, come on, dude.
And if you go look at T. Davenport NFL on Twitter, look at the throws that Jackson Dart made. Go look at the throws he made. It is amazing. He throws like, if you think his mechanics are garbo, I'm just curious, what do good mechanics look like? Because I don't know, throwing off the front foot, dime piece to the boundary. Like, I'm watching highlights right now. Like, I don't know what your agenda is in saying that his mechanics are terrible. I have no idea what you want him to do, but like, that's crazy. Thursdays are the Ogden of the week. Brutal. They
100%, dude.
They are
100%, dude.
Deion Sanders literally said, literally or figuratively, that he would not go to the Lions. This is why Detroit drafted Barry Sanders. Look it up. Who cares what Deion Sanders said when he was going into the NFL draft?
Yeah, why does that matter?
Who cares?
Yeah.
What does that got to do with Shedeur Sanders?
Like,
what has that got to do with it? It is a 5 guys for lunch day, boys. Choose bliss and do it.
Dude, dude,
I would love nothing more than
F around and find out.
Nothing more than that. You can either go to college or eat at 5 Guys. Probably should go to college.
You can go to college or you can do sales, bro. Which is it going to be?
Yeah. Big Papa War Machine. Detroit earned his rep. Let my guy use it. If Deion earned his rep, let my guy use it. If the Cowboys move up to take Shedeur and end up with Ewers, almost every other Cowboy fan I know is going into meltdown, and I'm here for it. They're not going to draft a quarterback.
No.
They
need to.
They have got to get Hampton and it depends on where they end up, and you've got to get the best available running back, I would think, because they just can't run the ball. Ewers, in my opinion, went from second, third round pick to draft pick first and second. He had a great Quinn Ewers. I think is one of the most ready quarterbacks in this draft.
I think he helped himself. I think the hard
Certainly.
part, the thing that the combine can't do for you is get you over the injury bug reputation. And I think that some people are concerned. I'm not saying that the whole draft is concerned, but I'm just saying that some people, I think, have concerns about Quinn's ability to stay healthy because he did. I think what did it came out that he had played half the season with like lacerated ribs or something, or there was he played through some ridiculous injury and still did what he did.
He did what he did.
So, some people are concerned about that, but I felt like Quinn playing through the injury shows that he's willing to play in pain and can do that.
Quarterbacks at the combine have to show they can physically perform in the NFL.
Yeah.
To be a day one quarterback, you have to show that you're an operator. You have to show you understand reading defenses, manipulating defenses. What's the defense trying to do to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to motion this tight end? They sit in these meetings, and like Trent Dilfer and I talked about this once on my when he came on the show, and he was telling me, when I'm evaluating a quarterback, I need to know that they can hear something and then regurgitate it. So they're going to say to you, here's the play, draw it out. Hey, I can tell you what happens in almost every quarterback meeting with a franchise before the draft when they fly them to their headquarters. I want you to explain to me why you did this on this play. They will show them a play, and then they will tell them, you need to draw that out on this whiteboard and tell me why you did what you did.
Yeah. And the great quarterbacks can do that.
Easily.
Like the clip of, I think it was Drake May in his pre-draft meetings. They did that to him where he had to kind of talk about his play. And like, there was a video with Dayball and the Giants and Drake May in their meetings where they were kind of talking to him about that. And, I think that great quarterbacks win the mental game,
They do.
And I think that's why, like Jaden Daniels has been so successful, because not just the VR stuff, but he has a strong mind that can process information.
Very strong.
And that's part of what makes him successful. For
yeah,
sure.
I would agree with that. Make sure you hit the like button on the Monty Show. Okay, big changes coming to the show. We'll talk about that in the coming weeks. I want to remind you that our lead story today, a Monty Show exclusive, capital investment firms have met with all of the biggest TV executives in college football. This on the heels of our story that in their meetings, the Big Ten and the SEC had discussions about breaking away from the NCAA. And really the focus of those discussions was, how can we create and control a new football entity that would include the Big 12 and ACC clubs. There is no merit to anybody telling you that the SEC is trying to poach Big 12 teams. There's no merit to that. We never said that.
Yeah.
We've never reported that. We have told you that the SEC and the Big Ten in their meetings had conversations about a super league and creating a new football entity that would govern college football, that they would leave in football only. So the SEC and the Big Ten and all the other conferences are not going away. The NCAA is not going away. That there would be a new entity formed to manage college football, and that the biggest games and the championship, the highest level of college football, would be in this new entity of college football. Our sources told us yesterday, and really over the last 2 days, what we are exclusively reporting on this show, that private capital firms have in fact met with TV stakeholders in college football. This is nothing short of a big, big move towards a super league. And I'll remind you, why are capital investment firms in business? They're not in business to hang on to money. They're in business to put money into the marketplace and make more money. This is a big, big story that we will continue to track. Make sure you follow us on all of our social channels. Certainly TikTok, Instagram, X. The Monty Show, good morning to everybody watching on X. Appreciate you guys being here on the show as always. The Monty Show is presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Join us at their Murray, Utah location on Monday. The offices of The Advocates in Murray. Jake and I will be donating blood. Get to utahblood.org. Schedule a blood donation for Monday. We'll be there at 12:30. Schedule a donation. We'll give one lucky listener a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is say, hey, Monty, I watch your show. I'm donating blood. I'll hand you an Amazon gift card. Hook it up. The Advocates, the best injury attorneys in the business. Chat with an injury attorney live online 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.